tend to feed off or work with other actors, and do you like to have lots of dinners while you're rehearsing and really get into it, or do you just like to show up on that day and see the magic of the scene?
Like I said, that thing, that moment when you start, when you do that first take, I think is lovely, and it's always easier if you have a very good, working relationship, and if you can communicate about anything well with the people that you work with. And it kind of comes very naturally when you meet people. And I'm not, I've done films where I hung out with the crew like 24/7. And sometimes it's a bit different when you're out on location shooting, because then naturally everyone is away from their families. You're in a city that you don't know, and you end up, connecting because you meet maybe out for dinners because you don't have family or friends to go back to in the evenings. And but then there's other work where people want to keep them. So I think it's, yeah, it's very different.
You can go with the flow, I think. I'm going to skip ahead a few films and ask you about Ex Machina. I mean, how in the world do you prepare to play essentially a sexy robot? She's more than that. She's an AI, but that's it. It's a real challenge for an actor, I think.
So, yeah, I was so sweet. Yesterday I was in London and I walked by this Japanese restaurant, and I was like, oh, the last time I've only been there like once or twice, but twice it's been with who's now a very dear friend of mine, Alex Garland, who wrote and directed Ex Machina. And I kind of saw the restaurant, I thought about him a lot, and then this man turns around and it's him. And he was just like, I just thought of you because I was at this Japanese restaurant. So I actually sat down on a bench. He was going to meet a friend, but we had like a half an hour and catched up. And he just finished his new film, Annihilation, which I'm very excited to see. But no, I read that script, and maybe still, it's probably out there if anyone is curious to read it, but it's one of the absolute best screenplays I've read. And I was shooting a film in Australia when I read it. And I had some lovely crew members who, thank God, have become my friends, and they wanted to help me, because I was like, I read this script, it's so amazing, can you help me? And we went back to my flat, and they held up their iPhone, and we filmed like 3 scenes, because I just want to send it, because I knew I couldn't meet him, I was so far away. And I remember I pulled my hair up tight, and I put like sunscreen all over my body. I was like just trying, I was like, this is my idea of Ava, and put an eyeliner. I mean, but it's interesting, I mean, you could almost not see my hair because it was so slick. But there was not much description about Ava actually in the screenplay. So it was kind of just like a blank sheet. And that was the beauty of it. Alex Garland, I really find him being a master of what he does. And he always guided me, but he always really pushed me. He was like, I was like, so who, Ava? He was like, I saw something that you did the first time, and I want you to explore that, and I'll be here with you. And then he was like, it was a lot with, I wanted to find physicality. And that was something we discussed early on. And actually I said, due to my dancing, I found it interesting when I walked in my house trying to figure out who Ava was. And realized that when we watched also in rehearsals, when I watched playback, just on film, what it looked like. And when you made her girl and made her too, like, perfect, or, moved in a very seamless way, you didn't have to do robotic things, just the fact that you were so kind of, streamlined and perfect made it, you're like, that's a bit off, because no human being is like that. So that was a lovely tool to find quite early on, that I didn't have to put any, it was almost like I wanted her to be a human 2.0, I wanted her to be just a bit heightened, and maybe just a tiny bit better than us.
And when you read the script for The Danish Girl, did you think, hey, that's my Oscar?